There is a person in my life who, the moment they walk into a room, I immediately have nothing to say. Not because I don't like them, not because I'm in a bad mood, not because I suddenly forgot how language works. It's just that something in my brain goes, nope, we're done here. And I stand there nodding like a bobblehead on a dashboard, hoping they move along before they ask me anything that requires a complete sentence. And the crazy part is, it's not even a bad person. They've never been rude to me, never said anything cutting, never gave me a reason. It's just that my brain, for reasons it has not fully explained to the rest of me, has decided this person is a threat. My mouth disagrees. My brain wins. Every single time. I started noticing this wasn't just me. There are people who are completely normal, funny, articulate human beings in every other situation. And then one specific person walks in and they turn into a potted plant. Just standing there, breathing, technically present, contributing nothing, nodding like everything is fine when internally they are screaming into a void. So I looked into it, and the explanation is both fascinating and a little embarrassing. There's a part of your brain called the amygdala. Its entire job is to scan every situation you're in and decide whether you're safe or not. And when it decides you're not, even if the danger is just your boss walking in or someone you really want to impress, it fires off a stress response. Your body gets flooded with cortisol. Your thinking brain, the part responsible for things like forming words and having a personality, gets pushed to the back seat. Psychologists call this an amygdala hijack. Your emotional brain grabs the wheel. Your rational brain is just sitting back there going, I had so many good things to say. Everyone knows fight or flight, but freeze is just as real and far more common in social situations. When the brain perceives a threat it doesn't know how to fight or run from, it just stops. In social situations, that freeze shows up as going completely quiet. It's the same system your ancestors used when a predator was nearby. Your brain is treating someone in your office like a lion in tall grass, which is deeply embarrassing, but also, neurologically, completely logical. Here's what makes it more interesting. The people who trigger this response are almost never random. There's almost always a pattern, a category your nervous system recognized before your conscious mind had a chance to weigh in. For a lot of people, it's someone who reminded their brain of a specific person from a long time ago. If you grew up around an authority figure who was unpredictable, a parent who ran hot and cold, a teacher who embarrassed kids in front of the class, a coach who made you feel 2 inches tall on the wrong day, your brain built a template, an emotional blueprint, and now, years later, your nervous system is still running that old software. Your new boss hasn't done anything wrong. Your professor has been perfectly reasonable. But something about them, a tone, a stillness, the way they pause before they respond, matched a pattern your amygdala filed away a long time ago. So it reacts. Not to them, to whom they reminded it of. In therapy, this is called transference. You are reacting to someone in the present like they are someone from your past, which is a very polite way of saying your brain is out here living in 1994 and completely forgot to tell you. Picture this. You are 12 years old. You are sitting at a dinner table. There is an adult across from you who has 2 modes, fine and not fine, and you have never once been able to predict which one you're walking into. So you learned very early that the safest thing to do is read the room constantly and say as little as possible until you know which version showed up. That strategy kept the peace. It worked. Your brain logged it as a survival skill. And now you are 34 years old in a conference room, and your new manager has that same quality, hard to read, calm in a way that feels like it could tip either direction. And without a single conscious thought, you are 12 again. Quiet, watchful, nodding, waiting for a signal that never comes. You didn't choose that. It chose you. And it happened before you even registered the room. Sometimes it isn't about the past at all. Sometimes it's someone you find attractive. Sometimes it's someone whose opinion genuinely matters to you. Sometimes it's a person who just has a certain energy, composed, unreadable, impossible to get a clear read on, and your brain interprets that blankness as a threat. You can't tell if they like you. You can't tell if they're judging you. And rather than risk saying the wrong thing, some ancient part of you decides silence is the safer bet. So you nod and you soft laugh at the right moments. You say yeah totally to sentences you barely heard. And you wait for them to move on. The part that really got me is this. It happens to smart, capable, articulate people all the time. It has almost nothing to do with intelligence and everything to do with what your nervous system learned to do with uncertainty a long time ago. You can know exactly what you want to say. You can have it ready. You can rehearse the sentence on the walk over. And the second that one specific person looks at you, it's gone. Completely gone. The word's packed up and left without notice. You are standing there with a smile and a completely empty mind, hoping they ask you something with a yes or no answer. And the person triggering all of this, they have absolutely no idea. They're just standing there existing. They walked in and your entire internal system declared a state of emergency. They asked how your weekend was and you said, good, yeah, good, 3 times in a row, and they walked away mildly confused. And you went and sat down and immediately thought of 14 perfect things you could have said. Brilliant things. Things that would have landed. You were funny, articulate, and perceptive, approximately 45 seconds too late. Now here is something worth knowing because it actually changes how you carry this. Knowing why it happens doesn't make it stop. Not immediately. But it does change your relationship to it. Because the moment you understand that your silence isn't weakness, that it's an old protection mechanism misfiring in a new context, you stop being ashamed of it and start being curious about it. You stop treating it as evidence that something is wrong with you and start treating it as information about something that happened to you. Those are very different places to stand. Some people, when they finally understand this, start noticing the trigger more clearly. They walk into a room, feel the silence begin to rise, and instead of drowning in it, they get a little curious. Who does this person remind me of? What am I actually afraid of here? Not always. Not in the moment, because the amygdala does not pause for self-reflection. But later, quietly, over time. And that curiosity, practiced enough, slowly starts to create distance between the trigger and the response. Not elimination, distance. Which is enough. It's also worth saying that silence isn't always the enemy. Some people go quiet around someone not out of anxiety, but out of genuine attention. They're absorbing rather than reacting. The people who speak least in a room aren't always the least present. Sometimes they're the most. But there is a real difference between choosing silence and having silence chosen for you, by a small almond-shaped structure in your brain that has decided your coworker is a predator. The reason this goes so undiscussed is because it's embarrassing in a very specific way. You can explain being nervous before a speech. You can explain a fear of heights. But how do you explain that you, a grown adult with opinions and a whole personality, cannot form a single sentence when one particular person is within 10 feet of you? There's no clean way to say that. I just stood there for a while and then left. That's the whole story. But here's what I keep coming back to. That person who walked in and emptied your brain, they were probably just a coincidence. A silhouette that matched something old. A posture. A stillness. A quality your nervous system cataloged years ago and never updated. They didn't earn that reaction. They just inherited it. And somewhere in the part of you that still flinches at the wrong tone of voice, there's a system that was built to protect you. And it did, once, from something that actually mattered. It just never learned when to stop. You're not broken. You're not weak. You are a person with a history, and some of that history got wired into your nervous system before you were old enough to edit it. The next time it happens, and it will, and you're standing there nodding and empty and hoping the conversation ends before it gets worse, just remember, somewhere in your skull, your amygdala is doing exactly what it was built to do. It thinks it saved you today. It just doesn't know you had something great to say.